Our next speaker is in the next section, how to approach, is Dr. Dipti Kulkarni, who is a consultant vitreoretina surgeon with areas of interest in diabetic retinopathy, preventable retinal blindness, ROP, glaucoma, and is an essential part of our team at the AMEA Lasers and Research Private Limited. She is going to be talking on how to approach viral retinitis. On to you.
Ma'am. I have tried to address this mammoth of viral retinitis in a small bunch of slides. First of all, why is it important to know about viral retinitis, both from our OPD practice point of view and exam point of view? Mainly, the diagnosis is clinical. All the tests that we do are either to support this or to confirm it if we want to do it. And secondly, if not treated, this can spread rapidly and cause permanent debilitating blindness in a matter of days and weeks, and sometimes hours if RD develops. Now, this is the real reason why we need to know about various viral retinitis. This is a bunch of photos which has a few cases of viral retinitis, infective retinitis, and some are even non-infective cases. So when we don't know or when we are not aware of what we are trying to look at, everything will look the same, red and white. So these are the actual cases that I had posted in the previous slide. Let's just move on. In the history, we must make it a point to note that the vision loss in these cases will be sudden and severe. There will be some amount of pain, mild or severe, depending upon the condition. The patient can complain that he has a pain while moving his eyes. Photophobia can be there. We must make it a point to note the immune status of the patient. If he's already a known case of HIV, then a CD4 count must be documented or noted. The patient might give a history of herpes simplex or zoster. If not, then we must ask and make a note of it. Now, what are the differential diagnoses that we are looking at when we are looking at cases of viral retinitis? Viral retinitis can either be necrotizing or non-necrotizing. The necrotizing ones are ARN, PORN, and CMV retinitis. And herpes can also cause a non-necrotizing type of picture. The other DDs that we must look at here are toxoplasmosis, syphilis, Behçet's, and like I shared in the previous slide, other diagnoses that can give us a red and white picture. I've added small tidbits of what we must study as we go along in the slides. All of us know that these are the highlights that we have to look at when we study any case. But what I want to stress here is that we must know the differential diagnosis, not just for the entire picture, but for each finding per se. I'll elaborate as we go. This is again another Pehchan cone. There are two photos here of infective retinitis or viral retinitis and two which are not infective at all. So let's first look at CMV retinitis. Cytomegalovirus is again a type of herpes virus which is slowly progressive. We must note here that this mostly occurs in immunocompromised individuals where the CD4 count is less than 50. Patients will complain of a drop in vision which is sudden and severe, like I said. Sometimes when the cytomegalovirus is of the indolent variety where the lesions are peripheral, the drop in vision might not be as severe as we expect. This is classically called a pizza pie or cheese and ketchup appearance because of the retinal whitening and the hemorrhages. In cases of congenital infection, we must also note for presence of fever, anemia, or pneumonia, hepatosplenomegaly. And although even if the cases don't show retinal involvement at the outset, they need to be monitored because retina can be involved even at a later time. The clinical findings are either there is mild or very absent vitritis. The white lesions are the cottonwood-like spots, which are the areas of active retinitis, and they spread with a leading edge where there is intraretinal hemorrhage. Papillitis and vascular sheathing are prominently noted here. And in many cases, when the patient has not presented to us early on, we can see him directly in the stage of dermatogenous RD. Now, CMV I have two presentations, either a classic or a fulminant one, or the peripheral or granular one. In the classic presentation, the posterior pole is mostly involved. It is very aggressive and large hemorrhages with wide areas of necrosis are seen. And in the peripheral presentation, this is a lesser aggressive version. There is little or no hemorrhage, and after healing, there is a presence of pigmentary changes. At this point, I would like to say here that we must know other causes of pigmentary changes that are seen in the retina. Fundus sonography is essential here because we want to monitor to know the progression or the effect of our treatment. HIV testing and CD4 count I've already mentioned. PCR testing is just to confirm our diagnosis, but if we want to confirm the diagnosis in children, then PCR of the urine or saliva is done, and if required, then subretinal fluid.